Phenomenal player, third in SEC scoring, 8th in the nation. To those numbers that you just spoke to, with coming into this program after being in the Big 12, 6th player of the year a season ago. In the orange unis for the first time this season, the Auburn Tigers.
Look fresh out there.
They're looking to make a statement here on the road against a ranked opponent in the Sooners. Things get going here in Norman. Skylar Vann along with Sahara Williams. Williams with a great open look and buries the 3 to open up the ball game as we introduce you to the Auburn starting 5. Jordan Hunter getting the start over Marshawn Boston. Celia Sumbame along with Taylor Collins, Yana Gaston, and Owen Akapalawa are the starting 5 for the Tigers. Collins off the mark, and Liz Scott, who gets the start with Reagan Beers out for a second game due to illness. And they look for 34 White inside. That's Raina Scott. The Oklahoma Sooners coming in at 17-6 overall for the season, 5-5 in SEC play in their inaugural debut in the Southeastern Conference. Pull-up jumper for Jordan Hunter won't fall. Offensive rebound, and Akipalawa was tangled up, and it's a traveling violation. It's going to go back to Oklahoma. Well, Johnny Harris, in her 4th season as the head coach of the Tigers, told her team how important today's game is. She took this team back to the NCAA tournament last season after a slight dry spell, and she's hoping that they can make a push here in the late part of the season to try to work their way back into contention.
Well, I mean, we got to say, Talia Scott, without her playing for Johnny Harris's team, she was averaging 20 in the games that she did get to play. Was a big part of why Gaston came to Auburn, and without her, they have tried to find different lineups and then also learning Johnny Harris's defense. And so when they've been good, they've been good. And when they've struggled, it's, they haven't been able to put 4 quarters together. But one shining spot has been Gaston. She's been so consistent.
And the offensive foul goes against Skylar Vann, and Jenny Baranchuk has seen success year after year since taking over at Oklahoma. 3 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, Big 12 champs the last couple of years, but first year in the SEC, her team still in the top 25. How have they met or managed the expectations they had coming over from the success they had in their previous conference?
Well, they've had to welcome, being ranked, and with that, having expectations. And they've taken some shots to conference play. I mean, gosh, they've already played Texas, Tennessee, Mississippi State, South Carolina, LSU, Kentucky. I mean, they've already been really tested, and they've won some of those games. I still think they've got a little bit ways to go. I don't think they're playing their best. But their pace, their style of play, adding Reagan Beers to the lineup, being such a big-time rebounder, and then they have so many versatile pieces that she can, plug in. They can all shoot the 3, and I think Peyton Verholz has been a star this year. She really had a breakout year. But that's tough when you're missing 17 and 9, right? And, against somebody like Gaston. We'd love to see that matchup, but a lot of teams have had injuries, and you've got to, work around them. I think about Alabama without Sarah Ashley Barker. They had to rally and win some games without her. So every team's had some adversity this year, and I think that with that, Jenny Baranchuk has learned some things about her team and their toughness, and she knows they've got it. They've just got to keep sharpening that iron, as she would say.
Her team with a 5-0 advantage. Auburn on the inbound, the baseline. Shot clock in single digits at 5 and counting, and Peyton Verholz comes up with the steal across half court. And looks, Raina Scott thought about it, gathers. Beatrice Cullerton in the game. Peyton Verholz rushed that shot up quickly, and Marshawn Boston, who checks in the ball game, who's got great speed, falls down on that pass, but
Oklahoma starting in a man-to-man. I do expect them to shift maybe a little bit to more of the zone to protect the paint, protect the glass.
We wanted to see what that matchup was going to be like down low on Deanna Gaston. Liz Scott whistled for the personal foul. At one point we saw in a previous possession, Deanna Gaston had 4 white jerseys around her. That's the type of attention that she garners. Is one of the best scorers in the SEC. Tigers still looking for their first points of the game. With 3 minutes gone by. Got to move quickly. Nice baseline drive. Good ball movement. And just can't finish there, Yakia Milton. Kantner, along with Keisha Thompson, Kyle Bacon, our officiating crew, and Kantner calling that foul against Oklahoma. And the Tigers hand it right back over. When Johnny Harris is telling her team, how do you defend this Oklahoma Sooners squad? They like to do a lot of movement. So where can they be physical or kind of impose their will if they can?
It's got to start with ball pressure. You got to take good looks away. You got to protect the rim. And they're really looking to score in transition. And that's their bread and butter. And you got to slow down Oklahoma and try to force some steals, get some easy points. I think that's how you get confidence on the road if you're Auburn, is getting some rushed out layups, get Bostic going. She's a great defender.
Berholz, quick release, won't fall. Bostic snatched away the rebound. And it's going to be Auburn basketball. Marshawn Bostic, who played the role of reserve in the last few seasons. The senior out of St. Louis, Missouri, took on a starting role for the majority of the games this season as Nevaeh Tott was guarding her. And Deanna Gaston called for the personal foul. She was trying to set the screen, so they hand the ball right back over. Right now, Auburn just not able to get into a rhythm.
Trying to see if Bostic went a little bit early. It's kind of a tough call on Gaston. And as your PG, you got to wait for the post to set the screen. Something we got to watch for. I mean, that's a huge part of Auburn's offense.
The traveling violation. And now checking into the ball game, Ting Dong, who is a newcomer into this Auburn program, comes over from China, the 6-foot freshman, the first player from China. And boy, she's been electrifying since she's put on an Auburn jersey.
How about getting your first start at South Carolina, scoring 10 points? You're still learning the language and learning the offense.
Pull-up jumper from Taylon Collins is true. That's the first 2 points of the game for the visitors.
And bringing her onto the floor gives you a score on the outside. Makes Oklahoma have to be a little bit more honest. There's Verholz.
Peyton Verholz drills it. Back-to-back double-doubles for Verholz as she's had some great games put together, helped to ignite a late run as the Sooners took down Ole Miss in their last game. Dawn working on Keys. Got tangled up. Van had a hand on it. 3 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Acrobatic shot there from Bostic wouldn't go. And the offensive putback wouldn't fall as well. Skylar Van, the co-Big 12 Player of the Year a season ago with a nice feed to Culleton as the Sooners are the top assist team in Division I with close to 22 on average a game. Collins off, Tot back the other way. Good ball movement, touching a lot of hands. Van looking for top, gets it out. Van passed up the shot, came in closer. Great bounce pass, and once again.
Yeah, all 5 players to touch the ball for Oklahoma. That is their offense. Not a lot of play calls from Jenny Baranczyk. She's going to let them react, run their offense. A lot of cutting, a lot of screening, some misdirection. If you're just patient, defenses break down. Auburn there certainly did.
Zambani with the spin move. Lost the handle on the basketball. And a 10-point advantage for Oklahoma. Skylar Van says, let me drop it off to you, Miss Culleton. You can take care of the rest. Is courtside along with Joyce Parker, and we just enjoyed our conversation pregame with her, Steffi, because of how humble she is. I mean, we talked with Baranczyk about just what she means and the presence that she's had on this campus. It's just humbling when you sit in the presence of people who have done so much and require so little attention.
I was just really blown away. Just, you know, she was like questioning if she was a trailblazer. I'm like, what? You know, of course you are.
And that Dawn 3 stops the 7-0 run for Oklahoma. But going back to your point, things have changed tremendously. And when you asked her just about, you know, how does that carry over and the significance of what she's done and what you see now is that's a nice bucket there from Skylar Van. Say, well, hey, we don't have the same amenities as what we used to before. Things have gotten better in the best way possible for women as this game continues to grow, women's basketball and women's sports in general.
Yeah, I think when we were talking to her, just dawned on me, I was like, you know, the perspective you're sharing with us, you know, how does a modern day athlete have that? And just reminding them that it wasn't always this easy. We didn't always have these opportunities, and just instilling, you know, those foundational principles in a player of gratitude and being humble. And it was just a really good conversation. I wish we could have had like 20 more minutes, right. But we got to make TV.
Yes. That one nearly bounced in, but just snatched down by Kirsten Johnson for the putback. The junior out of Duncanville, Texas, scores her first 2 points. So a 16-7 advantage. Gaston scored the last bucket down the floor. Bostic tries to get in on the action. The 5-3, Nevaeh Tot, redshirt senior out of Columbus, over to Van. And eyes it down. Skylar Van right now. Oklahoma shooting the ball well. 5 of their last 7 buckets have gone down 50% from 3-point range. And Gaston corrals that rebound and puts it back up. Just the toughness, and you see the importance of Gaston and how they need to get her going. Back the other way, Collins altered that shot. Bostic, who likes to get out in transition, that's where the Tigers excel, couldn't finish. Dong. Yes, man.
Let me tell y'all.
Yuting Dong coming off a 12-point performance in their win over Texas A&M. And again, just great finds.
Great ball movement by Oklahoma too. I mean, we could talk about Auburn's offense, but they have got to guard in the half court. Right now, Oklahoma just picking them apart. They're going to have to either be more aggressive or just be more disciplined, because right now they're neither.
That's Zaya Van, younger sister of Skylar Van, off the miss. And the closing seconds of this first quarter. Dawn says, let me try it again. I got it. Johnny Harris says, look, there is a language barrier there because she doesn't speak much English, no problem. What did she say?
See ball, make ball. See ball, shoot ball, and then make ball. And she's doing it right now.
Auburn will have another opportunity, but this look back at that don't make.
Well, Ting, I mean, she could have given this up to Gaston, but she's feeling it. She's confident. She in just 5 games, she's already hit 9 threes, and she's just getting her feet wet. Like I said, she's just learning the offense, let alone the language. I mean, but basketball is universal. Oh, wow.
Bostic just past half court, puts it up, and boy, that was a tough foul. She was leaning into that one, and that's going to go against the Sooners. 3 shots upcoming. Zaya Van was whistled for the personal foul, so Marshawn Bostic with 0.9 seconds left on the clock for the first quarter. And she can make it a 1-possession game with makes here. Knocks down the first of 3. Of 3 made from the line for Bostic. And Baranczyk really wanted a foul there, not getting it, as Dahl was 3 for 3 and bringing Auburn a little bit closer. Now the 17 points have come off her fingertips. Going back to that last sequence of plays, Marshawn Bostic draws the foul on Zaya Van. Jenny Baranczyk did not like the call, and then with 0.9 seconds left on the inbound, Peyton Verholz tried to
She tried to do the same thing, and then Jenny Baranczyk, hey, let them have it. She was frustrated that Auburn got that 3-point call. I will say Van tried to cut her off, and you know, Bostic, to her credit, leaned in and drew the foul. I didn't think they were equal, but I understand fighting for, letting the officials know where you stand on some calls. I mean, we see that in the SEC quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the first 10 minutes of this game, ball was shared exceptionally well as Lexi Keys goes in, draws the contact. She'll go to the free throw line.
Second personal, team number 1.
And I'll say this. You assist on 8 of the 9 makes. You have a lot of success in the paint. And more importantly, with that Lexi Keys foul, that was Deanna Gaston's 2nd personal foul. So that sends her to the bench. Good time to tell you that women's basketball takes over on the SEC Network every Thursday this week. Another great doubleheader with number 4 South Carolina hosting Florida. That's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Can't wait to see Liv McGill in action once again, the freshman phenom for the Gators. She goes against the Gamecocks. See how they rebound after their loss to Texas Sunday. And so I guess the question mark here is it's Auburn ball, the crowd not liking it at all. Where are the offensive options with Gaston now on the bench?
Well, I think that Bostic is a great downhill driver, and if you're Ting, you sit along the perimeter. I mean, you're going to run some screens for her, some actions for her, because right now she's 3 of 3, and she's aggressive. She'll look for her shot, she'll take it, but Bostic can create.
Just like she looked to do right there. Okunbalawa was there on the weak side and puts it in. Scott back to Williams, who knocked down the 3 earlier in the game, and the offensive foul from Williams take.
Foul the Sooners, number 6, Sahara Williams, first personal. She foul number 1.
I mean, that's a great charge, and Bostic does such a good job of that and understanding as a secondary defender, rotating over, taking a charge. And those were some of the turnovers that Jenny Baranczyk was saying that have been problematic.
On the other side, it's Williams picking up 2 quick personal fouls. And to your point, the turnovers have been an area of concern. They had 26 in their last game against Ole Miss. Those turnovers mounting up. How does she look to reduce them is the question we asked earlier today in shoot-around.
It might be as just simple as, you know, the proper post pass is a bounce pass, not a chest pass, or, you know, guards making good reads. If you're going to go backdoor, cut backdoor. Don't be in that in-between position, and just being smart. You know, teams are going to scout you and understand you're a downhill driver. You know, maybe pull up for a mid-range shot versus getting a charge taken. There's a nice and one.
Wow, what a take as she splits the defenders, keeps her balance, and Liz Scott with the make. And the and one.
Great athleticism there to split that Auburn duo. And a reminder for folks, I mean, Oklahoma's not without their big Reagan Beers, who's, gosh, 18 and 7, you know, big body down low, that so hard to guard, good passing out of it.
She's out for a second game due to illness, and so the transfer who came into this program added to an already Big 12 championship team. They returned so much of their roster, about 98% from last year. And with the addition of Beers, just added another weapon for the Sooners. Bostic, tough shot. Culleton comes up with the rebound. Out and running are the Sooners.
See, that's one of the passes that we're talking about, that it's a live ball turnover. Now Auburn gets to run with it, and it's just not a good decision in the half court. You want to play quickly if you're the Sooners, but you don't want to make bad decisions that lead, you know, to a quick run out for Auburn. You know, of course, here they're settling down in their half court.
Inside, trying to create some space, and Taylon Collins is able to do so.
Yeah, Collins is going to be the one that's got to step up. She's got the experience with Gaston on the bench, because it was working with Bostic driving. You had Uting on the three-point line, Gaston on the inside. There's a lot of different looks that Auburn could show you. And so Collins, who's more than capable, knows this Oklahoma team fairly well, playing at Oklahoma State to start her career before transferring to Auburn. Was in Lexi Key's wedding, by the way. Love that.
I love that for sure. Culleton with the offensive rebound and putback. So second chance opportunities there. Make good and stretching out the lead to 5 for the Sooners. Shooting 53% from the floor thus far in the game. Bostic on the take. Culleton is right there as well. That's her 4th rebound of the game off the bench. Burholz working. Woo! Turnaround, yes. Peyton Burholz, when you just let her have space, be free, and just create right there, that's the kind of magic she creates on the offensive end.
You know, Tiff, she got a little spice to her. I like that, you know? I like that in this league. Got a lot of spicy players.
And Collins, 15-footer is true, rattles in, and important as Auburn. Well, you were just talking about it. Taylon Collins, former teammates with Lexi Keys at Oklahoma State. And then, of course, you said Lexi gets married last May, and she's a bridesmaid in Keys' wedding. Special bond continuing between those two, and now they're facing off against each other tonight.
How often do we see that, where somebody gets married and then the person they're playing against was in their wedding?
Not often. And to the reference of the wedding, well, this is Lexi Keys with her husband, Jackson Walters. Beautiful wedding, pretty colors, but also, you know, a couple of her current teammates were in the wedding as well. Verhulst was in there. That one from Verhulst launched in, and there was a no doubter about that off the hand of Verhulst. Peyton Verhulst now with 8 points. And good defense there, and giving it right back to him. And right in front of Coach Karamchek.
Peyton Verhulst, I mean, she is so quick with making decisions. It was funny because, you know, that shot her first shot, it seemed quick. I think she just shoots that quick.
Yes. Yeah. Because when I said it the first time, I was like, man, that's quick. And then now seeing it, absolutely
it's like quick release, but like times 2.
Right. Her last 2 games have been impressive back-to-back double-doubles. First player in about 15 years at Oklahoma to do that.
Oklahoma just really kind of sagging off non-shooters.
And making it difficult. Great job defensively. Just pestering the ball handlers. And a shot clock violation for the Tigers. A 9-point lead here in the first half for the 16th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Charlie Cream's bracketology told us earlier today it's going to take an impressive effort from Ole Miss today to maybe change some minds.
Yeah, 2 minutes left. They're up by, what's that, 6 points to Kentucky at home. Be a huge win for Ole Miss. And again, that sliding scale of the 5 teams within this league trying to stay or get on that 4 line.
Kentucky currently a 13 seed. Ole Miss, if they are able to pull off that upset, would replace Tennessee for the time being. But there's just so much jockeying that's going to take place.
Who
right, or Oklahoma. That's right.
That's why these games, I mean, when I say this is close, y'all, I mean, these games, every game right now, it's not even SEC tournament implications, which it does. You know, we might have a top 25 team playing on Wednesday.
9 through 16 will play on Wednesday. So Oklahoma currently sitting at 8. Right there on the line. They're trying to maintain their position or move up some. Remember, they're trying to pull off a win without Reagan Beers, their top scorer. But so far, they're doing a great job. And again, continuing to share the basketball Culleton to Van.
Yeah, one thing Auburn worked on today was that high-low and switching either post to guard, but it started with ball pressure because that pass can't be that easy. So that's something Auburn has really got to nail down because they've been getting really burned on it this whole entire game.
Soraya Daniels, the true freshman out of Auburn, Alabama, with the make. Verhulst nearly halfway down, and it popped out. Well, you like to see Daniels get on the board, and as Johnny Harris takes a timeout, she's got to manage how she's going to do things with Deanna Gaston on the bench with 2 fouls and 3:29 remaining in this first half. Well, the nation's #1 men's basketball team highlights our Tuesday doubleheader right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. The top-ranked Auburn Tigers going up against Vandy at 7 Eastern. Follows at Reed Arena in College Station. And Auburn handed the loss.
Hey, I know. I see why they brought me in there on studio on Saturday.
Yeah, you were.
Causing chaos in the SEC. I think the men have 4 teams in the top 5. Pretty remarkable. That was quite a day, the job that Todd Golden did to take down Auburn at the Jungle. And then Wade Taylor with the game-winning shot at Missouri.
That was Oklahoma Sooners, number 15, Lexi Hughes. First personal, team number 3.
Yeah, this is this is some of the dominance. I saw it in studio Saturday. We see it every Thursday, Sunday, and that was on display, I think, with Texas, South Carolina, and, you know, reigniting that rivalry between Vic and Dawn. And then LSU, another close call with Tennessee. Kaylin Gilbert, let me tell y'all, Tennessee didn't get her out of the portal, and she took that personal, so that's what she said post-game.
She's Tampa fan, so I saw her when she was in high school, went over to Arizona, and look, full steam ahead there for Marshawn Bostic, one of the fastest players in the SEC. Nobody could catch up to her. Now cut this lead down to 7.
Again, just being more disciplined defensively. Try to keep this single digit while Gaston is on the bench, knowing that she's coming back in the second half.
And Lexi Keys says, nah, let me go ahead and stretch it back out. Double-digit advantage once more for Oklahoma. You think about this Auburn team without Talia Scott, as you mentioned, Caitlin Duhan, Savannah Scott, players that they anticipated having at the start of the season that are not currently available. And that's been there all night, getting position, points in the paint. Now 20 of the 39 points for Oklahoma have come right around the bucket. And if you're Auburn, you want to try to find a way to get the ball or do that right there. You can try to get an old three-point play as Daniels on the make.
Let's go back to that last possession by Oklahoma. In a mismatch, I think, for Skylar Van and no help side. Yuting just guarding, hugging her man in the opposite corner, and Oklahoma's just done a great job of cutting, passing. It's not complicated, knowing where the open defender is and getting to them quick. I mean, that's something that Jenny Baranczyk talked to us about, is the cadence of their offense. If somebody's open, you got to get it to them quick, because someone else is coming to defend them really quickly. That's been an adjustment in the SEC versus the Big 12.
Van leaves it short. And coming up with it is Milton. And Dahl, who was asking for it on the wing, instead a great spin move and finish there from Soraya Daniels, the freshman. And quick shot on the other end and can close the lead a little bit further. Daniels says, I want to try it from a little bit further out. Milton with the O-board. Right now, putting together stop on one end or buckets on the other for Auburn. They're trailing by just 6 with under a minute to go before the intermission. Lexi Keys, great bounce pass back out to Landry Allen, who knocks it down. Assists tonight for this Oklahoma Sooners team on 17 makes. Correction, 14 assists now on 17 makes. A 6-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Bostic sizing up the defense. And it's going to be Liz Scott.
She is so good at drawing fouls. I mean, you know, you're taught as a young guard to drive at your opponent's hip. You know, that's a great way to engage them, get by them, but also pick up a foul. She does that so well.
So with Oklahoma over the limit, that sends Marshawn Bostic to the line. Bostic, a normal starter for Johnny Harris, came off the bench today. She's been able to provide a spark now with 6 points for the Tigers, keeping them within striking distance. Again, we haven't seen Deanna Gaston on the floor for most of the second quarter.
I think she's been out for about 8 minutes. Other players have stepped up and been impressed with Auburn in her absence.
Van teardrop it in, kissing it off the backboard and the foul. Well, the freshman Zaya Van, let's take another look at it here. Ooh.
Auburn get there?
I don't know, it looked like Audia Young may have had position. The official said no. So a blocking foul goes against three-point play. And Bostic launches it up again before time expires. No good. Well, with Gaston on the bench for much of the time, Auburn still finding a way to stay in it. Oklahoma sharing the basketball exceptionally well. 44-35 as we send it back to the studio for the halftime report with Peter.
It can't be that easy for the Sooners to start the third.
Well, there's 6 different players who have an assist for the Sooners. Skylar Van led the way in that first half with 9 points. Peyton Verholz with 8. She knocked down a couple of threes. And remember, this is a Sooners group that is without Reagan Beers for the 2nd game in a row. She's out with an illness. And Williams had that one roll out. Gianna Gaston back on the floor. She picked up a couple of personal fouls, only played just under 8 minutes of that first half. And Collins out of control, called for a traveling violation.
A good team defense by Oklahoma to force that turnover by Auburn. We'll see how they kind of acclimate, get Gaston back getting reps. I think she sat for 8 minutes in that second quarter. She's ready to contribute now. She's just got to play a little bit more discipline.
Second meeting between these two teams. First in Norman. And Raina Scott was looking for a teammate to cut, did not. And turned the ball right back over, keeping the turnovers at bay. Very important for Coach Baranchek. They did a good job there in the first half. Raina Scott. Her first personal foul, first for the team in the half. When you're Gianna Gaston and you got 4 quick points, but you didn't play a whole lot in that first half. Just trying to hear it. Bostic now with 9 points.
How quick is she defensively?
Oh, my goodness. Strong defender, but nobody there looking for Peyton Verholz as she's wide open. Defensive breakdown there for the Tigers, and it's 46-38 Oklahoma.
The thing with teams that run a lot of motion, you have got to talk. And that's one thing I haven't heard a lot of Auburn talking through a lot of their motions. That's why Johnny Harris giving up that layup. She kind of holds her hands in the air. Like, you guys have got to communicate through all of these actions because you got Bostic who's putting a lot of ball pressure. She's doing her job. Everybody behind her has got to do theirs.
Well, one of the ways they were going to try to guard that movement was push them past the 12-second mark in the shot clock, but Skylar Van is right there. Great feed from Williams, and that's where they like to score quickly in that shot clock within the first 12 seconds. Gaston's jumper won't go. Verholz hauls down the rebound. Got 10 points tonight. Great position for Liz Scott. Late whistle. And a couple of free throws on the way.
Oklahoma here in their half court. And I'll use the expression, Skylar Van cut across Gaston's face. You never want to do. They want to jump to the ball so that pass can't happen.
Liz Scott at the free throw line. Redshirt senior out of Houston, Texas. Getting the start in place of Beers for the 2nd game in a row. Came off a 10.5 rebound performance in that win over Ole Miss, who just notched a big top 10 victory over Kentucky tonight. Zimbani over to Bostic, and Bostic kicks it off her foot. And 13th turnover as there's Reagan Beers. First season in an Oklahoma uniform, and they're missing her production on the floor, averaging about 17 points and 9 rebounds a game.
Started to stretch out and shoot the 3 ball a little bit more this year, and you got to if you're playing for Jenny Bronchek. I mean, that's part of the system is 1 through 5 can shoot the 3. You know, that's the second pass, and that's what's upsetting. You know, finally getting to see Oklahoma in person is where some of these turnovers are, because they play quickly, and it's some of those, you're cutting, you're not cutting, and then somebody throws the pass. You've got to be really sure. You got to be on the same page as teammates.
And right now, neither team, you know, valuing or caring or taking care of the basketball right now. Flurry of turnovers, 14 for Auburn, 11 now for Oklahoma. They attack back in the ball game. Lexi Keys guarded by Dunk. Burholz, great feed and cut from Van, and she finishes it off. Skylar Van now with 13 points. We talked about they're the best assisting team in the country, and you see why here tonight.
16, is that 17 on a 6-0 run for the Sooners? I mean, that ball movement is elite.
Tough shot there in the lane. And let's go back to that nice pass to Skylar Van.
This is a give and go. We do this when we're 4 years old at camp. I mean, these are the fundamentals that make Oklahoma so good. Just cut, pass, get open. Cut, pass, get open. Set a screen. You know, it is really simple, but when you have 5 players on the same page, it's pretty. And when it works, man, look how good it looks. But that's the importance of being on the same page, so you don't have some of those, you know, those turnovers, those missed passes that lead to easy points. I think Gaston, hopefully this gets her going, because she's 22 a game. I mean, they need that right now.
The best scores in the nation. The Culleton, you see all of the movement and cutting, just like you were talking about, Steffi. And Tots making a move. Van double clutch there, and shot clock violation as it didn't get a piece of the rim.
Well, much better defense by Auburn, just closing up some of those gaps, not letting some of those easy passes, backdoors happen, and it's stringing together a few possessions of getting some stops and then getting some scores. Get right back in this game. Still just a 10-point game, a lot of time left. Auburn is much better in the second half.
Gaston.
That's it.
Free throw line.
Yes, ma'am.
And it falls. As Gaston gets the bounce now, 8 points for their leading scorer. Now she's trying to deny on the other end. Williams with position. Collins comes up with the board. Marshawn Bostic sees a little opening in a path, and the quickness that you speak of, and a quick timeout taken by Jenny Bronchek. She wants to talk it over as Auburn closing within 6 now.
Auburn, lightning quick. Bostic, one of the fastest players, not in the country, not in the SEC, but in the country. Makes it look easy there.
Story we hear across all sports, Stephanie.
What is your favorite position in softball?
Well, I always wanted to be a first baseman, so
Okay.
I think the first
Like
baseman,
first base?
yeah,
Okay.
is very important.
A lot of
They
action
get
there.
in on the action. That's right. You know, squatting too much.
You're flexible,
Catchers.
you got to be able to.
Yeah, you got. Now I can't do the straddle or split, but you know, in my head I could. At like 6 years old, I could. You know.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Okay.
First
That
base.
chance. Maybe we'll do a company softball tournament.
That'd be fun.
You
Good
know,
idea.
participate.
Let's manifest that.
Auburn and a 6-0 run. And they're trying to close the gap. They've trailed most of the way. Deanna Gaston, Marshawn Bostic have been important pieces. Taylor Daniels gets it up, but not before the shot clock expired. So we'll step aside quickly here once again with 4:41 to go in the third.
Score, and without Reagan Beers, they have looked to her often, and she has delivered. She needs a game like this to really get her going into mid-February, into March. She's a key piece to this Jenny Baranczyk team.
Well, that's one of the things that she wanted to see from the super senior is hunting her shot more. Talked about her being a 5. She played that position last year with the addition of Beers. She shifted around, but she's shown off tonight. She and Peyton Burholz on the bench getting a breather, well-deserved. They're leading the way with 13 and 10 respectively. Here's Lexi Keys launching for 3. And it's going to be Auburn basketball.
I don't know about you, Tip, but Williams has been everywhere.
Yes,
Number 6 in white.
Yep.
I mean, diving on the ground for loose balls. I mean, her hustle plays.
She's a sophomore out of the Hawkeye State. And Deanna Gaston. Can't see it bounce in, and to your point, there's Williams right there to grab the rebound. The sophomore loses the handle. His last touch, they say, by Auburn. But Williams, you know, fun story because, you know, she's put together some nice games in SEC play. And when we talked with Coach Baranczyk, she just loved the growth of this sophomore and where she's going. And how about the way that Skylar Vann has excelled here tonight?
When you think about the 4 position in this league, we've got a lot of really good 4 players, and Skylar Vann, when Reagan Beers and her, if those two could really catch and get that chemistry going, that's a tough interior to stop because Skylar Vann can score it anywhere, and then Reagan Beers is so dominant with her footwork on the inside. And then everyone on the perimeter can shoot. So if they're taking care of the basketball and everybody is healthy and good to go, I mean, that's why teams see Oklahoma, they're like, oh, how do we guard them? You know, they're always moving.
You've got to think that they're hopeful that Beers can come back pretty soon. They've got 5 games remaining after tonight before the end of the regular season. And Donk, who was 3 for 3 from 3. That her first miss of the night, good ball fake. She had a good look there. Keys. Marshawn Bostic, who has scored 11 points tonight. She has added that change of pace for them. Not starting in the lineup tonight. In between Bostic, Donk, and Gaston, they have helped to power this Auburn team and keep them in the game. Skylar Vann with her 3rd personal foul, sending Deanna Gaston to the line.
Deanna Gaston at the line. Liz Scott, number 34, in for the Sooners.
Well, check this out, a terrific gymnastics doubleheader this Friday, a Valentine's Day edition right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Arkansas takes on Georgia at 7 Eastern from Stegman Coliseum in Athens. Then Florida hosts Auburn at the O'Connell Center in Gainesville. Should be another exciting night of SEC gymnastics. And we think about gymnastic programs and the great programs that we've seen come out of Oklahoma. back-to-back national champions in 2022 and 23. And
how about that addition to the conference? Okay, what is your favorite rotation in gymnastics?
oh, I love floor exercise.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate freedom of creativity.
It is. And we've seen how it's morphed into something more. I mean, you like the music that's played, the dance moves that come along with the very athletic and acrobatic ways of the gymnasts. Down for it. Liz Scott with the offensive foul, no basket there. 14th foul for Oklahoma, third personal for Scott. So the next foul's gonna send Auburn to the free throw line. Taylon Collins, who you said was going to be an important piece and just kind of picking up some of the scoring for them as Bostic is turned over. Scott finding Williams, and great there. Zubani tried to take a little extra risk. And Williams for two.
With Gaston on the bench, Auburn has just looked a little bit too stagnant, but Bostic going downhill is always a good answer.
She's always at full speed at all times.
Oklahoma, that's 1, 2, 3. You know what doesn't happen on this play? There's not a single dribble. It's really hard to guard when you're not dribbling because it's passing is a shortcut. It's a great way to blow by a defender. And Oklahoma does it better than anyone.
Auburn tonight from the free throw line. 8 of 11. Bostic, a 63% free throw shooter, knocks down the back half. Give credit to Johnny Harris's team on the road, sticking around with the 16th ranked team in the country.
Let's think about this for a second, Tiff. Is Oklahoma scores roughly 80. Right now it's sitting at 54. Auburn held LSU 15 points below their average. Arkansas 10 below. Texas 11 below. Florida 27 points below. I mean, this game, I mean, the score right now is kind of where Auburn wants it to be. It's just they've come up with empty possessions, and they're doing great on the glass. They're out-rebounding in terms of offensive rebounds against Oklahoma, but, man, they just have struggled to guard in the half court.
And are you surprised that with the hot hand that we saw Dawn have earlier, that they didn't go to her a little bit more?
A little bit, but she's just 5 games, now 6 games into the system, and I think everybody's kind of getting used to her and understanding the plays, and maybe there's a learning curve there. I'm pulling it if I'm her.
See the skill there for Dawn trying to create some space. Bostic is there. Thought she was going to go up with it. Instead, she tried to pass. Stolen away. Lexi Keys for 3. Got it! Lexi Keys, a 41%, rather 45% shooter from the floor. A long 2 from Keys. And a timeout taken on the floor by Auburn.
And look how quickly, right off this block, Williams leads the break. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. That's a 3. It's a 5-point swing. You don't get a score here. 3 points on the other end. Oklahoma does such a great job, makes or misses, pushing pace, and finding the open man.
Johnny Harris in the huddle, you're trying to tell your team you're still very much in this ball game, and like you said, plenty of time left. If you're Oklahoma, though, do you feel like you should have a little bit more separation?
Yeah. You think at this point you want a 15-point lead, start growing it to a 20-point lead. I mean, they're shooting 53% from the floor. The way that you know, they've been sharing it today. But Auburn is just, they clogged it up a little bit, and they averaged 19 in the fourth quarter in conference play. And that's the highest. I mean, it's 14 in the first, 12 in the second. So they kind of dug themselves in a little bit of hole, but they will fight. I think Gaston has got to get going. She's so big for them.
And Bostic trying to push on the other end. Back-to-back turnovers for her. Is Taylon Collins skies for that rebound. There's the push there. The foul running along the floor between contact with Milton and Lexi Keys. And Lexi Keys whistled for the personal foul. That's her second.
Bostic's going to have to be a little bit careful with those quick shots because it's leading to points for Oklahoma. Tussle between the two. You see that? Yeah.
You're gassing. It's been a frustrating night for you because you just haven't been on the floor enough to get a rhythm.
See, partner, we're on the same page.
Yes, indeed. And the Oklahoma Sooners on the same page on the offensive end. Raina Scott reigns in a bucket there. Her first 2 points of the night. And Auburn, who's gone cold late in this third quarter, searching for a bucket in over 5 minutes. Good defense there from Oklahoma. Winding down on the shot clock, put up by Daniels. And a chance to extend the lead. There's Scott floating in the lane as the buzzer. And a 10-point lead as we head into the fourth quarter. The 16th ranked Oklahoma Sooners have outscored their opponents in every quarter tonight. Can they continue? Find out.
Hosting, you know, that's the total difference of the men's versus the women is having 3 of the 4 teams on that 4-seed line, all wanting to host, and then looking at people to potentially bump you off within the own conference, and you've got 6 games left, you've got SEC tournament. I mean, every coach knows it's an advantage to host, and everybody wants to do it.
Well, Oklahoma, who has had that opportunity, they've gone to 3 straight NCAA tournaments. But you think about teams like an Alabama,
Ole Miss possibly hosting. Big upset totally big, and a big upset for Ole Miss over Kentucky today. They put themselves in potential to be on a 4 seed.
Sooners foul number 5, Kirsten Johnson, first personal, team number 1.
Kirsten Johnson whistled for the personal foul, so it's going to be Auburn basketball along the baseline. Bostic set to inbound it. Deanna Gaston back on the floor, 5 in orange. She's got 10 points tonight. They try to get it into her.
That's it.
There it is. Deanna Gaston, who is a tireless worker, they say. Always giving her best. And sometimes when you're the top scorer on the team and one of the top scorers in the country, you know, you're curious to know about the work habits, the ethic of a player like Gaston, and Johnny Harris couldn't say anything but great things about a star player.
First one in, last one out. She said if I made them run a sprint right now, she'd be the first one to win it, and it shows. I mean, her competitiveness, she's a little bit more quiet demeanor, but she'll let them know. And she's starting to come alive right now. This just being a 6-point game. I'm getting the ball to her every time. And if she doesn't get it, kick it out to Yu Ting for a 3.
We see how she's stepped things up. Her being on the floor makes an impact and a difference. The and one opportunity here. She scored back-to-back buckets after Auburn was without a basket for more than 6 minutes. So now she brings them within 5.
I'm going to challenge her a little bit, Tiff, because I think she's got to do a better job guarding Skylar Van. She's gotten the better of her a few times. She's got to know where she is at all times.
just turned over right there. Marshawn Bostic leading the break-in transition, finds Gaston along her left side, and 7 straight points from Deanna Gaston. She makes the difference, and it's a 1-possession ball game as Auburn cutting in closer to that lead. Just a 3-point deficit. Come back with us. The traveling violation, Gaston on the previous possession.
Just toughness and staying with it. And now start anticipating that double. Looks like Oklahoma's going to make that adjustment, which tells me find somebody who cuts to the basket or a shooter along the perimeter.
Well, this is as close as Auburn has been since early in that first half. Trailing by 1. Milton with the steal, the long arms of the 6'5" sophomore. And Bostic taking her time, getting it up the court. Fed it in to Bostic, or rather Gaston. Too heavy for that one. Verholz back the other way. Van fighting for it and puts it in. Big bucket. They were just playing a little flex cam in the arena. Well, flexing right here was Skylar Van.
Skylar Van has been everywhere tonight. Man, look at her get in there on the action. This is the game. This is the game Jenny Bronchek wanted to see from Skylar Van. Go hunt your shots. Be aggressive. This is what you're capable of. 17-4 right now.
And it also helped to end a personal 9-0 run from Deanna Gaston, because the Tigers on the prowl trying to close this gap. They were within 1 now. The lead back out to 4 for the 16th ranked Sooners. Marshawn Bostic with a double, or rather a dozen points. Gaston, tough shot over a couple of defenders. Verholz on the weak side. Little hand check there. Dee Kantner, who's officiated 16 national championships with the call.
You very well may be the fittest person in the building. I'm not going to lie.
Looks fantastic, has a ton of great experience, 25 Final Fours to go along with it. Bostic nearly lost the handle, maintains it. Collins is there to help save her.
Not great spacing from Auburn in this corner.
Comes up short on the dunk jumper. Verholz getting it down to Van. A foul before the shot, so the basket won't count. Kaya Milton whistled for her 4th personal foul, team's 3rd. The elbow jumper won't go for Van. Gaston gets on the floor. Liz Scott coming up with it, wrestled. Possession arrow, and it stays with Oklahoma. Correction, that was Milton's 3rd personal foul. She checks out as Soraya Daniels comes in for her. Verholz on the inbound. Scott. Daniels tried to take a gamble. Van with a good look. And Bostic up the right side. Well, she had Daniels open, decided not to go to her. Instead, They feed it inside to Gaston, who elevates. Deanna Gaston is an elite scorer in this league. And you see why here. She makes tough shot after tough shot. She's got 21.
Well, her motor doesn't stop and does a little bit of work early here. Trying to figure out where she, there she goes. She got Skylar Van behind her, and she's like, I got this all day. I mean, I shoot over 54% from the floor. And Johnny Harris telling us she wants to go to the next level. She wants to play in W. And she's certainly been putting up the numbers to get on some coaches' radars.
We just talked about the number of 30-point games that she's had this season. 20-plus point games. She's had 5 in SEC play. And when you think about who they faced off against, I mean, that's not easy to come by.
Yeah, and if you factor in, if they had Talia Scott, who averaged 20 or 21 in the 3 or 4 games she was able to play, that's 240, it's 40 points between the two of them. Auburn looks completely different.
Great heads-up play by Lexi Keys. She was trailing out of bounds, threw it off an Auburn defender, and it's going to be Oklahoma basketball. Dahl whistled for the over the back. We've got to be careful now. 14 fouls for Auburn. Next team foul will put Oklahoma in the bonus for the rest of the game. Williams was fouled on that shot. A couple coming from the charity stripe. Tahara Williams talks about just the hustle plays that she's had. Her first free throws of the night. The nation's #1 men's basketball team highlights our Tuesday doubleheader right here on the SEC Network. Johnny Broome leads the top-ranked Tigers against Jason Edwards and Vandy at 7 Eastern. Then it's 8th-ranked Texas A&M playing host to Georgia in College Station. That's at 9. You can catch it right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Both free throws made for Williams. Quickly out. There's Daniels in the corner for 3. She got it.
Gaston holding up her finger in the air, knowing that she just dropped the perfect dime to her shooter. Like I said, good things happen when she's involved in the offense, at least getting a touch.
Zipped in to Raina Scott. No offensive foul there as Bostic fell down. And the make for the Sooners. And the lead back out to 3. Well, Stephanie, we talked at the top of the broadcast how important this game was for both teams. For Auburn, they're trying to come on the road, upset a ranked opponent, and play their way into the NCAA tournament. Nice find, and again, Deanna Gaston just needs a little bit of space. She is right around that arc.
How about the pass by Bostic to find her? This high-low has been killing Auburn. Oh, good defense, good help side that time.
Bostic does not have numbers, wisely pulls it out, and then goes full steam ahead. And that is the first lead of the game for the Auburn Tigers. Verhulst, who had position. Daniels whistled for the foul, but let's look at this bucket again for Bostic to put the Tigers ahead.
She has been so good getting downhill. It's against Oklahoma. They have had a hard time staying 2 feet in front of her, and if she's not going up for two, she's dropping it down to Deanna Gaston. Now, how does Oklahoma respond? This team has been tested in conference play. They're sitting at 500, safely in the tournament, but this is about, you want to be playing your best basketball. You want to protect your home court.
They led by as many as 12 before Auburn took the lead. That one, on that make from Verhulst, evens it up. And you talked about the importance of, hey, yeah, SEC tournaments coming right around the corner in March. So you want to be one of those top 8 teams so that you can take a breather.
And you want one.
It's much needed indeed. So a 1-point ball game in favor of the Sooners. Jordan Hunter started off the game, giving Bostic a spell. Taylor Collins coming backside, got it at one. Strong-armed it up there. And Taylor Collins.
Gaston is going to draw 4 Oklahoma defenders. Then Skylar Vann kind of fell asleep. She's trying to help to make sure Gaston doesn't score. Who else other than Taylor Collins? And Lexi Key's wedding.
Yeah. I'll say this. You mentioned how Auburn loves to do their scoring in the 3rd and 4th quarters, and they have outscored Oklahoma 20-9. They've only missed 2 shots this quarter and have been rolling. Keys. They wanted that one under 3 minutes to go. And Bostic back in the ball game, slowly walking it up, nursing this 1-point lead. They find Gaston. Nowhere to go. Boston left wide open for the 3, decided not to take it. She doesn't shoot many threes. She likes to drive. Out of control, but they call a block because Scott did not get her feet set in time.
I just didn't think she was in a position to take a charge. And that extra burst of speed, I thought that was a good call. I know fans in here not happy with it. But how about Auburn, time winding down, knowing that Bostic doesn't want to shoot a 3-pointer, making something out of nothing.
And we've seen her do that time and time again tonight. Missing the first free throw. She's 5 of 8 from the line. Again, a 63% free throw shooter. She got 1 of 2. A 2-point advantage for the visiting Tigers. And miscommunication between Scott and Williams. And the turnovers starting to pile up for the Sooners now with 20.
And Auburn has 25 points off of those turnovers, and that's really plagued Oklahoma in conference play. And the timeliness of them, fortunately, wasn't a live ball turnover.
Within 2 minutes, Bostic driving. Scott got a piece of the ball and a piece of Bostic's arm. Raina Scott with the personal foul, both teams in the bonus, so Bostic back to the line.
I like the substitution of putting Zaya Vann in. She's a good defender. She is young. She's just a freshman. Yes, that's a little sis of Skylar Vann, but perhaps she can beat Bostic to the spot to draw a foul or just keep her in front.
Bostic having opportunities, but not able to knock down the front end of a couple of free throws now tonight. That one rolls in. 16 points to go along with 6 rebounds and 5 assists for Marshawn Bostic. The Sooners trailing by 3.
No need to panic here. Run through your offense. You've been getting good looks throughout this game.
Van on the move. Leaves it short. Offensive rebound.
Who else?
Zahara Williams.
Yeah.
You watched tonight's game. Kind of wish the Super Bowl would have been this close last night.
I wish a few things, Tiff. I'm only going to say one thing. I thought Lil Wayne should have been performing. That's it.
She has spoken her piece. Zahara Williams. Knocks down the first of 2. Offensive rebound for Skylar Van and ties up the ball game. My goodness. Let's see that again because Skylar Van off the missed free throw comes up in a major way for the Sooners.
Hey, it's time. Skylar Van, Auburn for 2. Look at the reaction. I mean, this is the type of intensity you want to see from the former Big 12 Player of the Year.
2 timeouts remaining for Oklahoma, 1 for Auburn. Just to catch you up on how we got here with Deanna Gaston, who was quiet in that first half, out with much because of foul trouble, has come alive in the second half with 19 points, but it's also been a terrific show against former Big 12 foes, Skylar Van. Looking excellent tonight. 20 points and a big bucket there to tie up the ball game. As Kendrick Lamar said last night, you don't want to turn this TV off. You don't want to turn this TV off.
I knew you were going to bring him into it. It's nothing against Kendrick. It's nothing against Kendrick.
I knew you were going to get mad, but somebody had to do it.
Taking care of the basketball with the next minute to go is going to be critical. Both teams over 20 turnovers each. Got to take care of the rock right now. Winner of that wins this game.
Just the second tie of this ball game. Under a minute to go. Bostic on the attack. And good defense. It was deflected by the Sooners. Van already with 20 points. Forced it in there to Verholz, who was fouled on the way to the hoop.
Again, this high-low action between Verholz and Skylar Van. Close call for me. You know, you're throwing it where there's 3 defenders around, but she nonetheless draws the foul, stops the clock, gets to the free throw line.
Well, this is the shooter that you want at the line. Verholz, an 85% free throw shooter.
So Johnny Harris is going to be in an interesting position. She's got 1 timeout left. Does she use it here to advance? Does she wait if this thing draws out a little bit more?
Oh, the miss there. And she does spend her final timeout.
It looks like she didn't call a timeout. Yeah. I think the referee assumed she was going to call a timeout to advance, but I never saw her call for a timeout.
Well, Kyle Bacon whistled for it as if she did, but they're going to clear things up and say no timeout was awarded. So Auburn does keep their timeout.
And I like that because, I mean, I think she's going to need that in her back pocket as this game comes down to the wire.
Oklahoma picks up full court. Bostic gets it across. Now Tigers working in the half court. You know they're going to look for Gaston. There's Gaston trying to muscle her way. Almost went in. Culleton with the personal foul, and Deanna Gaston's got 2 free throws on the way.
Well, I love the play call by Johnny Harris. You use your shooter as your screener. That draws a lot of attention because where's everyone going to focus on? Yu-Ting to get to the three-point line. That sets up Gaston to get to the free throw line.
Gaston a 72% free throw shooter. And her first miss of the night. She was 5 for 5 prior to that.
Auburn 13 for 21 from the free throw line tonight.
She knocks that one down. Gaston has outscored Oklahoma by herself in this fourth quarter, 14 to 13. That free throw even at 71. And with 2 timeouts, Oklahoma says, we're going to go with what's worked. Oh, and they call the foul underneath the basket. Marshawn Bostic whistled for the personal foul. Let's look at it again here.
Oh man, I'd have. I mean, she's got such quick hands. From that angle, it looks all ball. That's a tough call for Bostic. But for Oklahoma, you run your offense, and it's Skylar Vann to Peyton Verhulst. That's been money for them all game. Now Johnny Harris has got that timeout in her back pocket to advance it.
Just as you said, you knew she would need it at a critical time. Her team trailing by 2 with 4.8 seconds remaining. So if you're Oklahoma, you're thinking Deanna Gaston is likely going to touch this basketball, but if you're Johnny Harris, what are you drawing up in the huddle?
Well, I think similarly what they did on the previous possession to get her to the free throw line, Tiff, was Bostic has been really good decision-making. Either she can go downhill, you put maybe just a high ball screen with Bostic and Gaston, and then you've got Yu-Ting along the perimeter to spot up and shoot. If I'm Oklahoma, no and ones. You know that Gaston has been really good at getting to the free throw line, and so is Bostic. So you don't, if you're gonna foul, make it count. I'm not saying anything ugly, but you can't do a touch foul and they get an easy 2. And they're only down by 2 right now, so be mindful of fouling. And if it's gonna be an easy layup, you want to make sure that it's not easy.
73-71.
How about the fight?
Oklahoma
Oh my gosh.
has led most of the way, but we saw Auburn come out of the locker room with a renewed sense and fight. Deanna Gaston on the floor has helped to make a difference, but they kept it close. They were within striking distance this entire game. Then they start to put their foot on the gas. Steffi, this has been a really fun game.
Oh yeah, and for Oklahoma, trying to defend Deanna Gaston without Reagan Beers, their 6'4" post player, has been a trouble in the second half. It's really been hard for them to guard her. It's taken by committee, so we'll see if they can get into her now and make them pay.
They get it to Gaston. Gaston with a tough shot, gets it up, and that's not gonna fall. Oklahoma survives the scare. The 16th ranked Sooners hang on by 2 to defeat Auburn. Tremendous effort and fight from the Auburn Tigers tonight, but they come up short as Oklahoma is able to hang on here at home.
Just a tremendous fight from Auburn. first time seeing them in person. I mean, when your fourth quarter is your best quarter, that tells me you got a lot of fight in you, a coach that believes in you. And we saw everything that they had, just came up a little bit